Or
I think this is when the Hulk Hogan era is there. They just sort of brought him in as some sort of spectacle. And as the story goes, Mr. Regal asked Mr. Inoki to choke him out for real. And quite a spectacle. And less than a year later, I guess what we're most famously talking about Mr. Inoki for today, you would take Inoki on in North Korea.
mm-hmm.
What a freaking story. As the legend goes, Eric asked you fourth. He asked George Foreman. He asked Hulk Hogan. He asked Sting. And you somehow accept. And Muhammad Ali's there. And
no, but the same thing I accepted, but I got lied to again. It was never supposed to be taped, never supposed to be aired. Got taped, got aired in Japan, animated DVD. They made a DVD of it. I never got a dime.
I don't know that there ever was a DVD here in America. Maybe there was over there, but I don't think.
Oh yeah, over there. I'm talking about. No, there was one made here. Are you kidding? I'm pretty sure there was one made here.
DVDs didn't exist in 95. So DVDs didn't exist in 95.
Okay, not DVD. Let's put it like this. It aired.
A home release. Yeah.
Huh?
A home release. They did some sort of home video release.
Yeah, there you go. Home video. Is that right?
So talk to me about,
you have to remember my age and my,
I get it.
My current, time frame of when DVDs became popular in that home video. There you go. The moral of the story is, though, I got no money.
What about,
you'll be bigger than Lawrence Taylor.
That's the bit.
That was the line that was given me. You'll be more famous than Lawrence Taylor when you get back. Okay, Eric.
I mean, technically he's right. I think you are more famous than Lawrence Taylor.
Back then, I don't know.
Maybe not back then, but
you couldn't have told me that while we were sitting over there in the hotels with our passports being confiscated.
Yeah, let's talk about what a crazy experience that must have been. Because
holy shit, you have no idea. And me and Ali sitting at Marigold Hall, which is the equivalent of their capital, the equivalent of their White House. And all this guy is doing is talking about how bad, with an interpreter, talking right next to him, how much they hate the Japanese and hate the Americans. And Ali, who hasn't said a word in 2 days, taps me on the leg and says, "No wonder we hate these son of a bitches." I said, "God, don't start talking now, man, please." That's one of my most famous stories. He hadn't said a word. He tapped me on the leg and said, "No wonder we hate these son of a bitches." Good Lord. Please, Muhammad, not now.
My goodness. So when you get there, let's talk about Inoki, because again, this is, in this era, he's trying to make some political moves. He's still a huge figure in professional wrestling and sports in that part of the world. And somehow, some way, it's going to be you and him putting together a match. Were you nervous, anxious, excited?
No, literally, I didn't get to talk to him. I was just excited to get out of there. They said, Inoki wins. I said, no problem. No discussion. How? Kick to the back of the head. Okay. I'll tell him when to do it.
Oh, wow.
That's all. I had never met him. Isn't that funny? I mean, I met him briefly to say hi in 94, but I had met him. I shouldn't say that, but I'd never talked, never tied up with him, never worked with him. I watched him wrestle a couple times, and just he respected me and I respected him, and I say it to this day, we made music. It was great.
The Observer would say this: it was the first time Inoki and Flair, two of the 5 biggest stars worldwide of this generation, had ever been in the ring together. Reports we received were it was the 52-year-old Japanese senator's best match in a few years. Flair, wrestling in the first main event since the so-called retirement in October, was heavily praised for his ability to carry Inoki. There was an unbelievable crowd chant for Inoki when he came out. Let's talk about that. Is this the biggest crowd you ever wrestled in front of?
190,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, by far. And the only guy they ever cheered for the whole time we were there was Inoki.
Wow. That tells you the stardom he had even in that part.
What's that?
That tells you the level of stardom he had even in that area.
No, I mean, you can hear the crowd. Don't understand me, but I think when we first got there, I think I told you the story. I was in the box the first night, right, with one of the sports ministers. And he goes, how come that guy can take that guy down so easy and do all this? How does that? Why is he jumping in the air? Someone had done a leapfrog or something.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. You won't see any of that phony shit in my match.
Oh, God. I love that.
That's what I said to him. I was hitting Inoki as hard as I could. Those guys don't care. They can take it. He was a tough kid, man. And that's what Steve Regal said is just what the kind of man Steve is. He said, choke me out. He meant it because Steve is an old school guy and he fears nobody, as everyone knows. And Steve's tough. He's like Fit. Those guys are tougher than hell. They're taught how to wrestle overseas like that because they have to pay the price to get in the business.
Of course, Inoki finishes the match with a reverse kick, a knee drop off the top rope, and an enziguri for the 3 count. How I know we've sort of talked about this sort of tongue in cheek, but how difficult is it really? You don't speak the language. You're not afforded the opportunity to talk to the guy before the match. Biggest crowd of your career. You're told it won't be filmed, but you see cameras everywhere. You're in a unique environment, to say the least. This has to be a nerve-wracking situation, is it not?
Yeah, it was, but I was in no position to say anything. I just knew I'd been lied to and had, and now I don't know why. So here's the part that bothers me. Is George Foreman? I have no idea. I know George real well. I have no idea why he said no. Hulk said no. Sting said no. Who else was it again? Who else was ahead of me?
George Foreman.
Oh, and Foreman. Yeah, I don't know how Hulk and Sting got to say no, and I had to say yes. I guess I just tried to get along in the business back then. But it's just ultimately another lie, people think that me going there was great, and it probably was a great experience for me. But I don't even know how to explain. I mean, I think everybody there was miserable. The Steiners were miserable. I mean, they turned off Scott Norton's phone. Couldn't talk to his wife. You couldn't say anything detrimental. Like you couldn't even, if you were complaining to your family member, it was hard to call out. It was just a miserable situation. I mean, the guy that was taking care of me, and this is how scared I was, and I'm not afraid, or I'm not ashamed to say that I was scared. When the guy said to me, I make $6 American a week, I wanted to give him my Rolex and say, brother, you can have this. Just get me the hell out of here. I'm not kidding you. $6 American a week. That was 95.
Yeah, that's a big
So
deal.
Me wearing a gold Rolex and all my jewelry, Jesus Christ.